Well, good evening, everybody. We are live for Tuesday Motivation and Conversation. And I have a wonderful guest with me tonight. Well, you already know, is Alex Kerekes. And I am so excited to have her with me tonight for motivation and conversation. Listen, we're going to have a conversation and it's going to be awesome. And so I'm going to kick this off tonight. We're going to dive right in and I'm going to ask Alex to just tell us a little bit about herself. And then I am going to dive in with some questions tonight because I always have the goods on the questions. So, Alex, welcome to Motivation and Conversation. So glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about who you are, dear.
Thank you so much, Bridget. I'm so happy to be on your show. So I'm Alex. I'm 27 years old. I am a digital marketer. I run my own digital marketing firm, which is called Breakthrough Digital Marketing. We help small businesses with their reach on social media and the web so that they can focus on the things that are most meaningful to them. I started my journey in business when I was quite young. I got a really good job straight out of high school. I was living in Cancun, Mexico at the time. And I went right into doing marketing for several of the large resorts in Cancun, Mexico. This was something that I was very fortunate to achieve simply because I had English as a first language, and they just so happened to need people who spoke English very well in marketing at the big resorts. So straight out of high school, 18, 19 years old, I went right into the big resorts doing marketing, and I learned so much about marketing on the job at those resorts that it really started to develop an interest in consumer psychology, marketing, sales, how business works, how people think, and what makes people do the things they do with regards to buying decisions. So this was something that I started to become really, really interested in. I did that job for several years in marketing at the resorts. And then eventually I decided that I was going to come back to Canada to further expand my skill set. So I ended up going back to school, to business school here in Canada. And I took marketing with an emphasis on social media and online marketing, which is what I do now in my business. I have always had quite a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit. So I knew from a fairly early age that eventually I wanted to run my own show, my own business, and that eventually I wanted to get independent and not work for someone else. So as soon as I had the chance to make that happen, I really went for it. I decided to start my own marketing firm and just went all in. It was something that I started seeing over and over again as a vision, and just felt this emotion just burn inside me whenever I thought about it. And it was something that I could no longer ignore, and I just had to start taking action on it. And that was how my company came to be. It kind of birthed out of a feeling and emotion and a vision that I had to help small businesses that I saw struggled specifically with regards to their marketing. I saw a lot of people, both in my extended family as well as family friends or acquaintances, who struggled with their businesses because they didn't know how to market themselves correctly for today's day and age. And it really just grew out of wanting to help business owners get unstuck.
Wow. Listen, you've been from one end of the globe to the other, and so a couple of things out of what you said, Alex. So, of course, you said the magic word vision. That's my area of vision clarity, vision management. I consult clients every day, and it's all about their vision, helping them get from manifestation, from revelation to manifestation. And so it's just good to hear that, that's the vein that just propelled you forward, was the vision you had for yourself and what you saw. And so, of course, on Motivation and Conversation, we talk about your vision and what it is that got you there. And so you've given us a good premise and foundation for what got you started in digital marketing. So now we want to talk about it tonight. And then the other thing, before I kind of dive into some of the things that I want to converse about tonight. Alex is a part of a global group that I'm a part of, and we've connected there, and we've already had some interaction, and we had an interview last week on her platform, and so definitely go check that out. And so Alex is doing some wonderful things for small businesses. And so, especially for what I do as a consultant, I like to bring on people who can add value and impact small business owners and entrepreneurs, people who are starting out, because this is information, to your point, that they need because they don't know how to do it. And a lot of them don't have a lot of resources and revenues to actually employ a lot of times the need that they have to the degree that they really want to grow. So this is really, really, really good stuff tonight. And so I know that, there are several areas that are, key areas for you, such as strategy, digital marketing in the area of strategy, and then social media content in the area of strategy. SEO, which for a lot of people who don't know what that is search engine optimization. So that's your Googles, your Safari, and all those platforms and what works best. And so I'm sure that, Alex can touch on some of this stuff tonight. Email marketing. And some people think that's outdated and antiquated, but it's not. And so I definitely want you to talk about that, content marketing, and just e-commerce in general. So a couple of things that I want to have you unpack for us, because I've done my homework. So
Sure.
one of the things I want you to talk about and unpack for us, and this will probably encompass a lot of the things that are pertinent to small business owners, is the fact that you talk about helping businesses build greater audiences online and increase revenue while advertising as humans and not robots. Because I think some of us think we can just get this magical number of followers or whatever, and then business is just going to blow up. Unpack that for us, Alex.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things that we saw as a reoccurring theme with our clients in the business was that, well, first of all, I should backtrack and say that when we were doing the research to open up this firm, some of the statistics that we saw were that half of business owners were doing their marketing efforts entirely themselves, and half of business owners were spending less than 2 hours per week on marketing efforts. So essentially, bottom line is they were trying to do it all themselves and they were failing at it. And that broke my heart, because as a business owner, I can relate to the struggle. You wear so many hats. You do all of the things, especially when it's a small business or you're just trying to start. You're doing everything yourself. And so that being said, marketing is something that is highly specific, especially in today's day and age with social media, with, as you said, SEO, search engine optimization, and email marketing, which we can talk about a little bit. We saw that our clients were trying to do all these things themselves, but they had no idea. And so I remember one of the first conversations that I had with a client when I was starting the firm. And this was kind of a discovery call where I always, before I start working with a client, I always like to meet with them and do kind of a discovery / initial consultation where we go over what is it that they're trying to do and what really their goals are for the business. So I always look at 3 points with my clients. And that is, where is your business now? Number 2, where do you want your business to be? So we look at that from a point of your ultimate outcome. This is where the vision comes into play. If everything were the way that you desired, what would that look like? And that really kind of puts things into perspective for people to go, you know what, I'm really, really not where I want to be right now with my business. And the third question is, how can we get you there? So that's where the strategy comes into play. How can we align things in your favor so that you have the utmost chances of success? And so going back to this conversation that I had with the client initially, this was way in the beginning, early days of the business. And she had a jewelry line that she was starting up. She had this beautiful jewelry line. They were gorgeous products, handmade, like very like artisanal jewelry, I think it's
Yeah.
called, like beautiful pieces. And, you know, I saw the potential in it, but I asked her, how are you currently marketing this?
Yeah.
And it broke my heart to hear her response, because this was a little bit older woman. She was
Yeah.
senior,
Hmm.
all the best intentions. But she said to me, oh, you know, I've been sending all my friends on WhatsApp
Oh,
uh,
wow.
messages. Like she had just been pretty much bombarding all her WhatsApp contacts on WhatsApp
Hmm.
with you know, pictures of her jewelry, and that was the only way that she knew to
Right.
market.
Hmm.
And that really put things into perspective for me of how little people really knew about how we market in today's day and age, how you build a brand behind your company, which is really where the value comes from. And
Hmm.
where do you even start with that if it's a new business and you've never done it before, or you're not
Right.
familiar with the platforms or the way of doing things today? And
Hmm.
so that really was something that I took into consideration when I was building the business. And it really, really gave me heart for business owners to say they have the best intentions in mind for their business, but they just don't know how. So we're going to teach them. And
Hmm.
my approach with my clients has always been to take them through those 3 questions,
Hmm.
which I think is key, even just knowing where you are now and where you're trying to go.
Right.
Oftentimes as well with our clients, we find that they aren't even able to answer those questions. And so that's something that is crucial. Before we can build a map for you,
Yeah.
we have to
Yeah.
know, first of all, where you are on the map, and
And then where you're
secondly,
trying to go.
where you're trying to go.
Yes, absolutely.
Otherwise, how will you know once you get there? How do we build a map if
Absolutely.
you don't know where you are right now? So that's
Right.
something that I always try and emphasize with my clients, and that's where the strategy begins. So I hope that answered your question in a somewhat
Absolutely.
roundabout
Absolutely.
way.
Because, yes, because, that example is, I think, probably 90% of small business owners' story. They use what they know, right? They utilize what they know how to work. And so for people who are not technically savvy, they're not technically savvy with the social media platforms. They don't know how to really use the platforms for building websites and things of that nature, or at least having a landing page, And so for a lot of them who have products, nice products, good products, but they don't have a way for people to actually purchase from them. So they're using Cash App and they're using Apple Pay and they're using, all these different mediums when, there are opportunities for, number one, marketing and getting people to a central location, right? Your e-commerce, a website, a landing page of some sort that houses what it is that you have to offer so that people can purchase. And here again, to your point, increase revenue. So yeah, you hit it. And I think this is important because so many people start out and they have aspirations for a lot of things. And to your point, they really need to know the end result in mind when they start. Where are you, which is the revelation, what it is that you see you want to do. And then what's your big picture? That's what you want to manifest. And it's important. And then in between, to your point, is how do I get there? So you have to have the logistics in place to do that, and especially for the marketing piece. So yeah, you hit it for us. You took us right into that. Another thing I'd like for you to unpack for us, Alex, is another statement that you made was you help to get businesses in front of the right audiences so that they can focus on what really matters. Unpack that and talk to us about that a little bit more.
For sure. So again, going back to business owner wearing several hats and trying to do
Mhm.
all the things at once, we all have different strengths, and that's
Right.
good. Just as one person may be more proficient in, for example, accounting or the numbers side, someone else might be better at the creative side. And so for a business owner to be able to be successful in their business, They need to have the time and energy to focus on the things that move the needle in their business. Depending on the business, what those actions look like. But for example, if you were a coffee shop, so to speak, and a big needle mover was for you to be present in the coffee shop as the face of the business, to give service to your clients, to give personalized attention at the forefront of your business, then for you to try and learn the marketing so that you can do that all yourself, either you're doing one thing or you're doing the other. So by us doing what we know how to do best, we allow business owners to focus on the things that matter most to them, the things that they want to focus their efforts on in their business that move the needle the most for them. And we take care of the work behind the scenes. What we mean by building an audience, for a business to be successful, it has to have raving fans, as I like to call it, which is basically your walking ambassadors who are your messengers, right? That's a term that you use as well. So these are the people who love your business. They are going to be the ones to share it with their family members and their friends. But you have to start to build that audience. And so if you're a new business, how do you begin to build that audience out of nothing? So this is what we help businesses do. This is a big part of where social media comes into play. Businesses, it is pretty much required now for a business to show up on social media because of the amount of consumers that are going online to do research before making a buying decision.
Absolutely.
So if your business is not showing up online as even part of the conversation, you're leaving all that potential business on the table just because you're not showing up in the spaces where people are going to do their research. Your competitors will be showing up when consumers are doing their research, but you're not there. So you've left all that money on the table. So
that is so true. That is so true.
So by helping businesses build an audience, that is really what we mean. Getting them in the right places at the right time in front of the right people who are going to relate to the business, to the business's message. Something that we do a lot as an exercise with our clients is the brand archetypes. So there's 12 brand archetypes, and those are, for example, since a business is made up by humans, a business tends to have human-like characteristics. And so that will be somewhat representative of the people who founded the business or the personality that they're trying to give the brand. So depending on what the business is, what the business stands for, what its values are what the character traits, the personality of that business will be. For example, some examples of brand archetypes or brand personality types would be the caregiver. So that is a business that would be very warm, very kind of lovey-dovey, service-oriented. You may have the joker, and those are the businesses that you see sometimes do a lot of humor in their advertising. And so there's different ways that you can give your brand personality, and it will connect to your audience in different ways. But really, when we're building an audience and establishing a social media presence for a business for the first time, or retaking that when they've left it behind for some time, is we're really trying to build the personality of their brand online. So how does your business look online when a consumer looks you up? What is the overall feel that your business is going to give off? What is the voice and tone of your content? So that should remain consistent over your touch points, both on social media, email, so that your tone is consistent overall.
That's good. You know, I haven't, you see me, I'm always taking notes, but give your brand a personality. And to your point, that consistency is so important. And I think, you know, it took me a minute to kind of figure out the branding piece, number one, to realize that I was my brand and
Mhm.
not, my business card, not my colors and that kind of thing, but it all kind of collectively flows together. So I'm
Mhm.
glad that you brought that out, that it's important and that you have some idea what that is and what you want that to look like, because
Mhm.
that's important. And so when you see certain colors, it kind of reminds you of a business or that person because that personality has been attached to that. It's so good. That's so good. Yeah. So that's good stuff. And you mentioned these 12 brand archetypes. So now you got me intrigued. So I'm always looking for opportunities to learn and grow. So you've
For
challenged
sure.
me
Mhm.
and our audience to find out what those things are, because you need to be aware as a business owner. You need to be aware of all of these aspects of marketing so that you can be well versed and educated on some of the things that you either need to do or you need to hire to be done.
For sure. So, for example, can I give you an example of my own
Sure.
business archetype or brand
Mhm.
personality, just to
Yes.
give you
Yes.
an idea?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
when we were creating again, this goes back to the vision, this goes back to the values, the mission behind the brand, something that consistently I felt called to was to challenge people to step into a bigger version of themselves, whatever that looks like for them. And so our brand archetype as a business is called the hero archetype. And
Okay.
so these are the brands that are very strong, powerful. They have impactful content. This could be, for example, Nike, Adidas,
Hmm.
several other brands that you remember as being very bold. And
Hmm.
so a lot of their messaging is, again, content that speaks to people's character. So this
Okay.
is something that inspires people to step up, to take action, to challenge themselves. And so for our particular business, we found that that was very fitting, because again, we work with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business people. And so that really is speaking to the personality of our brand, is really challenging people to step up, to
Yeah.
want bigger things for themselves. And so you'll see, if you go through our social media or our website, even our podcast, for example, a lot of the messaging remains consistent under that same line, because that's our audience. And that is
Yeah.
how we maintain consistency in the tone that we use with our audience across all of our touch points. And that's something that we teach our clients to do as well.
Now, is this something, Alex, that also challenges the art of accomplishing the goals of the business? When this, say, for instance, this particular archetype, the hero. So if you aspire for, you set these goals, but inside of that, there's also a challenge. So it kind of pushes the client also to achieve what it is. Because oftentimes I think if we don't set those goals or create those challenges within, sometimes we don't strive for the accomplishment. So what would be your take there?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very much the case for us. That's something that we strive for, is wanting to inspire, empower, and encourage our clients and potential clients, the people who come across our messaging and our content, to want to step up.
Yeah.
And so that, again, is something that we take from the very beginning, from our very early touch points to initial meetings that we have with clients, where we ask them really directly, what is the biggest thing that is holding your business back, and how committed are you to solving this issue now? We
Yeah.
really want to work with clients who are committed to solving the issues that they know their business has, because at the end of the day, those are the businesses that will be the most successful in today's online world, is the business and the business owners who are willing to take the uncomfortable look and say, you know what, the way I've been doing things recently is
Hmm.
not working,
Yeah.
and maybe I need help. And I think sometimes that's a very healthy place to come from.
Of course, of course. Now, because I want to get some more content here, so I want to move on to, I have a few questions. So when you have clients come to you for this particular um, area of expertise. And I always say maximize on your strengths, which is what you've been saying, where they can focus on the main thing, and then you employ your weaknesses. So number one, we know that for a lot of business owners, small business owners, this is a weakness, right? What would you say are some of the, maybe I would say maybe the top three reasons that small businesses struggle in this area of marketing? Can you think of three that when clients come to you, it's kind of, these three are kind of a common theme as to why they're struggling with the marketing piece?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the biggest ones that I would say is not knowing who they're speaking to.
Okay.
So that goes back to knowing who your audience is. And
Okay.
so when you don't know who you're speaking to, you don't know who your audience or who your target market is, how do you know how to speak to them? Because the way that you would speak to a teenager on TikTok is very different from how you would speak to an older generation on a different platform or through a different medium. And so I think one of the biggest things, if not the biggest thing, that businesses are struggling with is not knowing who their target market is, who their demographic is. And because of that, they don't know how to speak to their clients. They don't know what to post, and they don't know where to post it, which is the other thing that I would say. If they have attempted starting a presence on social media platforms, but again, they don't know their audience, then by default, they don't know where their audience is found.
Right.
If you're talking to teenagers and you're talking to a senior, those are completely different conversations on completely different platforms. So I would say not knowing their audience, who their target ideal customer is, and not knowing what platforms they should really be on. We see a lot of businesses who are trying to be in all the places, which I really say is not necessary. If you just have even one or two platforms where your target audience is located, that is more beneficial than running yourself thin across trying to be on all the platforms and doing none of them well.
Right, right. So that leads me to an impromptu question. So we have a lot of people who are, they're active on Facebook, IG, LinkedIn, or whatever the case may be. And they just post. Can you talk to us a little bit about when to post, learning or knowing algorithms? Because there used to be a time when I first started this journey back in 2013, I was learning, things were relatively new. And so a lot of times when you would post, everybody would get what you post. That's not the case anymore. And so you have to really be a little bit more savvy. And myself, I'm, having to relearn some aspects of this. So can you talk to us a little bit about what are the algorithms like now, and what do you need to be mindful of when you post, what you're posting, the time of day you're posting, the time of week you're posting? Are there statistics that show, when is the best time? Basically, I would say Facebook is different from IG, right? The audiences on IG and the flow on and path on IG is different from, I don't even do TikTok too much. I can't, there's too much. But, at least I would say between Facebook and IG. LinkedIn, we know there's more professional, there's more business-minded people. They're not going for the craziness. It's more polished information there, but definitely between, IG and Facebook, what can you share with us that would help to give the audience some idea of maybe some of the things that they're doing wrong, or how they could better improve on their posting and the content that they're posting?
For sure. So yeah, absolutely. Algorithms are not what they once were. So statistically, only about 1 to 3% of your audience is going to see your post. 3% is on the high end. So if you consider that, that really puts things into perspective, and also reminds you, I think, not to take it too personal when that post that you put so much work into flops. Knowing when to post really goes back to knowing your audience, and I'll explain why. If you have, for example, an audience of mainly business people, and this sometimes is the case, we have had clients who are in a business to consumer sector. So they're selling to consumers, not necessarily businesses, but they have found great success through our help on LinkedIn. And so this is something that people should not discard. As I said, these particular clients that we had, they found a lot of success on LinkedIn for their product because they found that their target audience was the business person that was going to be spending more time on LinkedIn than maybe Instagram. And so if that is the case, then what is the time that those people would mainly be using LinkedIn? So LinkedIn, for example, is a network that people tend to use during Monday to Friday work day hours for the most part. Meaning if you're posting on LinkedIn, you should be posting Monday to Friday, somewhere between the 9 to 5, because that's normally when people are checking their LinkedIn. So if you're posting on a Sunday at 12 when everybody's at brunch on LinkedIn, your audience is probably not going to see that. And in reverse, if you are targeting your audience who is mainly on Instagram or, for example, Facebook, and the really ideal times would be probably when people are coming home from work. So around dinner time is generally good, or even in the mornings before work can also be good. So really just goes back to knowing who you're speaking to and where you're going to find them, where they live online.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I hear you saying that individuals need to a couple of things. Take into consideration what it is that they're doing. Number one, if you're doing something that would attract stay-at-home moms, then middle of the day may be okay for you to have some type of, lunch and learn, or, some type of midday chat where, they would tune into that because they're looking for those kinds of things. Maybe the kids are at, down for a nap or whatever the case may be. But if you're talking to business professionals, LinkedIn, you need to be very strategic about the timing. I know for myself, there's certain things. I have a lot of people who are, church people, right? So if I post on Sunday morning, they're on there because they're trying to see what everybody's doing on Sunday. So, there are different things that when you post, I notice when I post, I get traffic. And there are other times when I post certain things, I don't. So, but I hear you saying really take the time to research that, check that out, know your audience, and really be mindful of, what time of day and who you're trying to attract based on what that is and what industry you're in.
For sure. And then, I think, of course, that's where the strategy really comes into play with, you're not just posting at whatever time of day you're able to fit it into your busy schedule, but actually being strategic and thinking, okay, if I'm making 3 posts this week, what are the best times for those 3 posts to go out so that it reaches the max amount of my ideal audience? Not at 2 a.m. when your audience is asleep. And by the time they wake up, their feed is bombarded with a million other posts that people have made since then. So really being strategic about what you're posting, who you're posting for, on what platforms, and at what times you're posting them. And also something that I always say is don't post and ghost. Don't post and ghost. So that's where you just make a post and you just leave. And the social media algorithms are for encouraging people to be social on the platform. So again, also remember that these social media networks are also a business and they want people to spend the most amount of time on their platform. So if you are just posting something and leaving, the number of people who are probably going to see your post and interact or engage with it is much lower than if you do what's called warming up the algorithm. But it's really just getting people to know that you're online right now. So that's where maybe you just go and respond to some of your comments, reply to
Yeah.
some of your direct messages, like some recent photos that are on your feed, and then you're posting your content. And now
Yes.
it's going to be more likely to result in your favor than if you just make a post and leave the platform.
Wow, that's some good stuff, Alex. So don't post and ghost, right? Because the platform is meant to be social, right? So, and I think some people do post like it's a bulletin board, right? So they go and they put their post up there and bam, they expect to get, 15,000 likes. Well, you have to engage. And so yeah, that was an epiphany I just had all by myself right there. So you can't post and ghost. You cannot use it like it's a bulletin board. So you have to post and then engage, be social, interact with other people on your page. To your point, that is so good. I thought that was a really relevant point. And then you talk about warming up the algorithm. So taking that time. So I hear you saying warming it up and then cool it down, because you need to warm it up and engage people. And then after you post, then you still need to, kind of chill a little bit after you post and be social. That's so good. That's so good. Practical, but it's profound.
For sure.
Good stuff. So if you are watching right now, I just want to pause for the cause. And I'm speaking with Alex, of course, and we are talking about digital marketing. She is the breakthrough digital marketing guru. And so this is her area. This is what she do. And she's given us some good practical stuff. I told you we're going to unpack some tools tonight. And so that's exactly what we're doing. So if you have not shared this with someone, because it may be information, practical information that they could use as a business owner. So I have a couple more things and we're going to wrap it up for tonight.
Awesome.
So you've talked about achieving goals and things of that nature. But what would be for a person that's, just starting out? I mean, spanking brand new, what would be your approach to helping that small business achieve their goals? So you gave us a few things. You talked about where are you now, what is it that you where's it you want to be, and then how do you get there? What would be some things, because there's always gaps in between. So what would be maybe a couple of things that you would add to those 3 steps of helping them to achieve their goals?
Well, I think really on a more practical aspect, if someone were to be watching this now and they're thinking, gosh, I know that I need to get better this year at posting on social media for my business, but I just don't have the time to post. And when I do, I don't know what to post. So then nothing ends up getting posted. Something that we've seen repeated success with our customers is, especially when it comes to a small business, customers want to see your face. Customers want to see the person behind the business. They want to know the story behind the business, especially I think if it's a small business. This is something that really needs to be heavily emphasized, because small businesses have so much competition of larger competitors. What is the benefit for someone to purchase from you versus Walmart or Costco or somewhere else? So consumers are more likely to spend money with you if they know the story behind your brand, the people that are behind your brand. And so for our clients, sometimes that looks like just posting a behind the scenes post every week, where we show customers the faces of the people behind the brand, the faces of some of the people that work behind the counter or that work in the office, depending on what the business is, and what a typical day looks like in that business, right? Sharing customers kind of snippets of what goes on behind the scenes that they don't see gives consumers a feeling that they're being included in something special. And that's where you're also building that community with your audience. So this is something that's fairly easy for anyone to do. You don't have to have really high-end equipment or cameras to do this. Literally, it's something that you can do with a phone. And even just sometimes snapping a selfie of behind the scenes at work is something that will do really, really well. Photos of faces perform almost 2 times better than photos without faces. So
Yeah,
again, that's something it's a small but very practical tip that you can start to apply to your business right away, is show your face, even though sometimes it may be uncomfortable and sometimes we don't want to, or we don't feel like we look good enough right now to be on social media. But really, we're seeing that consumers aren't worried about like showing up
absolutely.
perfectly, and they just want the real, the
Absolutely.
raw.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because this is raw, uncut, unedited tonight. We're live. I've been rolling all day. I hadn't had time to do makeup. Who has time to do makeup? So I didn't have time, to do polished and all of that. And I think it's just I've become more comfortable because there was a time I did all this preparation, da 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 da. You're trying to look polished, but people need to know in a typical day, it's like today, it's been nonstop. So I've been sitting here at this desk, pretty much all day. So, that's how it goes. So that's a good practical tip, and even myself, I think I need to do that a little bit more, just snapping some behind the scenes. A lot of times I'm sitting here in front of this camera or in front of this computer, I'm doing Zooms. And when I get off Zoom, then I'm doing, client work and I'm trying to do graphics or whatever it is that I'm trying to do. And I'm making sure that I'm taking care of the client. Well, a lot of times people just see me talking. They don't know the other work that goes on to help make it, happen. So that's super good. I got one last one in these last few minutes. It's so much. We probably gonna have to do a part two, Alex, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about, girl. So what is the entail on your statement about business is 80% strategy and 20% mechanics? I love that one, and you got to unpack that for me.
I am huge on strategy. I think it's so important and something that is not given enough importance in marketing for business. So what sometimes we see a lot of our clients doing is just trying to do it all because they think that that's what they should be doing. I mean, that's what people are saying online and on YouTube videos to do, is be in all the places, and they're running themselves thin,
Yeah.
not having a strategy for why exactly they should be showing up. So one thing that we really, really focus on with our clients is the strategy. Everything that we're doing should be intentional. If we're posting, it should be intentional. If we're sending an email, it should be intentional. If we're adding a blog post, it should be intentional. Like anything that we do should be intentional. And that way we're actually producing results with the time that we're spending versus just burning ourselves out, running ourselves thin. And so I think that's really a big one for our firm, is focusing on the strategy. We always have a strategy session with a new client to see if, first of all, if our styles are going to align working together, and also to see really, okay, again, going back to where are you now, where do you want to go, and what their expectations are, if it's realistic, if it's something that we can map out a strategy for. And also, I think setting realistic timeframes is part of a strategy. Sometimes people think that by posting on social media in 2 weeks, you're going to gain 1 million followers, or, it's not realistic if it's not something that you've been doing consistently over time, to think that you're just going to start doing it and tomorrow you'll see success. That's really not how it works. And so in marketing, we really have to consider the strategy behind everything that we're doing. Every single post should be intentional, whether that is just connecting with our audience and sharing the behind the scenes, or if it's a more a post that presents a sale or an offer. But everything is intentional in what we do. And the same goes with email marketing. I know we don't have too much time to get into that, and that's a whole other topic on itself, but email marketing is also a big one that we focus on with our clients. You wouldn't build a business on rented land. And so social media really is your rented land. You are kind of up to the mercy of the algorithms to decide what's going to happen. Is your post going to show or not? If the algorithm suddenly decides to change, your hands are kind of crossed. And
Yeah.
so we really want to encourage business owners to use more email marketing, because that email list is yours. It's not rented. Once you gather those emails, collect those emails, that is a list that belongs to you, and no one will be able to take that from you. So a lot of people I know still have the impression that email is dead,
Yeah.
and no one uses email to sell anymore in business, and that is so far from true. An
Hmm.
email converts 4 times better than a social media post.
Wow.
Those are huge numbers.
That's right. Especially with only 1 to 3% were the statistics that you gave us earlier, that, your post stands a chance of getting seen. So with emails converting 4 times more, oh my goodness. So you got 12% right there, you know. So on the high end. So that's so good. And you're right. There's so much to unpack there. We definitely are gonna have to come back again, and we're gonna have to talk about it a little bit more. Hopefully we'll get some questions, and as people are having the opportunity to go back and watch this, for those of you who tuned in live, thank you so much for stopping in. It has been an awesome conversation with Alex on this evening, and I so appreciate her taking the time to help us unpack some tools that will help us with our digital marketing, and give us some strategies, number one. But also, I want her to take a moment now and just tell us how the audience can contact you if they need your services. Where can they connect with you? All of this kind of thing. Take it away.
For sure, yeah. So you can find all of our programs on our website, www.breakthroughdigitalmarketing.net. You can also follow us on Instagram, Breakthrough Digital Marketing, and we're also on Facebook at Breakthrough Digital Marketing. We right now are focusing a lot on our podcast, as well as something that we found we're able to give quite a bit of value for our listeners through. And so you can also find us on YouTube at Breakthrough Academy is our YouTube channel for our podcasts.
Awesome. And did you hear that? Everything had Breakthrough Digital Marketing. It didn't have Little Mama Yellowtail here and Collard Green over there. It was consistent. And I think that's something we have to consider. We have to be very intentional about the handles that we use for our businesses on these social media platforms. Because if people don't listen, I'm Bridget Moody on every platform. So people can find me because I'm myself. So when you're not yourself, so I just wanted to point that out. It may be a little difficult for people to really find you. So that's a very I guess elementary kind of thing, but it's still profound because it's important. And when people are looking for you and you have all of these different kind of handles, people don't know who you are and if you're the right one. So it's definitely important to be consistent with your platforms and the names that you're using. Alex, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I know I'm ahead of you, but still, you're in Canada, and I just love, your spirit, and I love the fact that you're so open and willing to share. And this is what it's all about. We have these opportunities to share and give people content, and of course, we give them more when they become clients. But it just kind of helps people to understand some of the things that are needed, and so, as business owners and entrepreneurs, these are some of the things that we're doing in this season, and definitely with our group in 2023, we're being really intentional about these kinds of platforms. So I'm so thankful and grateful for you. Anything else you want to add before we leave tonight?
Thank you so much, Bridget. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be here, and I hope that everyone listening got some value out of this conversation.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we're back here next week, Tuesday, motivation and conversation. We're going to have some more practical tools for us to unpack as business owners, entrepreneurs. Listen, you need to tell Lottie Dottie and everybody that is going down on Tuesday Motivation and Conversation. And we're providing information that will impact you and help to influence you, impact your income, as well as help you to influence those that are in your circle, your audience, and help you to propel to another level in 2023. Because we want you to be prepared for what it is you want to see in 2023. We'll see you next time right here on Motivation and Conversation.